What it do, baby? Welcome back to another video where today we're gonna be doing something very cool. I'd say very cool. So basically today we are doing MyTeam throwback basically. So I got a Reddit post here by Mad Max. He's one of the bigger Reddit people, right? So basically I just want to read this out to y'all. And I agree with a lot of points he said in this video. So, yeah, I just wanted to go over the video, right? So, let's get started. Now, he has, like, all of these posted, basically. Like, I think he has part 7 or part 8 already posted, right? And so, basically, you guys can read this. I'll link the post, okay? I'll link the post in the description. But, basically, it's pretty cool. Like, he's been working on it for a long time. It's kind of like DBG's MyTeam documentary. Pretty cool. So yeah, let's get started. Launch. So basically, nobody could shoot at launch. It was a train wreck. It slowly began to catch on, but the shot stick was a way to go. Using the shot stick, you could essentially green a large chunk of your shots, while your opponent had no idea and struggled with the button. The shot stick method of shooting was something I perfected for a long time, even after being nerfed, until it was completely nerfed in April. Speed glitch in the game was also a big part of the game, and would be for the rest of the life cycle. The badge system also didn't work as we know it to work nowadays. It was extremely bugged at launch. You could essentially add any badge you wanted to any card, but only to bronze because it would glitch out afterward. Free agent cards were also big pain in the butt at this point, most notably free agent Dwayne Wade, who had 22 Hoff badges. That would basically guarantee any game you walked into, you'd win. So now let's get to the main part. Season 1, One Will Rise. Season 1 and the next few seasons were slow with content, but it was a good pace. Good cards were released, but it was never really anything game breaking every week. May I say one of the better early periods of MyTeam history? We didn't get any cards truly insane out of the level 40 rewards until Season 4. That's when the game really began to ramp up. And honestly, I agree with that, because I felt like it was a nice slow pace, but then I feel like they ramped it up way too quick. But, so let's just start off with the day 1 cards. Pink Diamond George Mikan. Mikan was the reward for the all-time domination set, and was one of the few bigs in the game to have a 3-point shot for a quite good amount of time. That leg up over the competition was a huge asset to have, and would lead to Evo Elgin Baylor, the first Galaxy Opal in the game for quite a while, and he was a beast card at launch. This card was like 2 times faster than any other card at small forward and could shoot and dunk well for the time. That speed was a big difference maker, meaning you could basically use Elgin to run cycles around anyone. Pink Diamond Bob Linear. I love Linear. I got him on my first Ascension board on launch night. Me too. And this dude was just different than any other center at the time. At 76 speed, he was so fast in comparison to other bigs. That's so true. He also had a fantastic, very consistent mid-range shot, which is even a rare sight on centers at the time. Thanks to the bugged badge system, my own personal Bob Linear has bronze clamps and quick first step. Pretty cool. Pink Diamond JoJo White. JoJo White was the best point guard at launch, though through the token market he was extremely rare for a while. Badges were extremely expensive for a long time, but JoJo was special because he was one of the few point guards to come with gold range applied to the card, plus coming with gold quick first step. He could also hold clamps on the card as well. He was one of the fastest cards in the game. On top of all of that, he was a beast. Honestly, the thing with the badges was that it wasn't really expensive until midway into Season 1 when people started realizing that badges would be rare. But yeah, other than that, they were pretty cheap. Pink Diamond Bob Cousy. The best exchange card for a long time was the first exchange card in the game. While he couldn't hold range or quick for stuff like JoJo, he was one of the more complete point guards in the game with good hot zones and badges. Diamond DeMarcus Cousins. You lucked out if you got him in promo packs. A free, super lengthy center with a good interior game, good speed, and a mid-range shot. If you didn't have Linear at the time, he was a great pickup. That's true, man. That's true. Diamond Larry Bird, this card did not miss. It was ridiculous how much of an advantage you were at if you had Larry Bird on your team. I was lucky enough to afford him and run him as my big in TTO for a while. The dude was lights out from the 3-point at the time, where the meta was just his paint set on the big. He was slow, but he had a great lateral and would be really nice on defense. That's true. Like, I could afford him, but I don't want to spend all my MT on him. And honestly, going back, I probably should have, because I would have won so many games with him. Now, Amy Allen Houston and Amy Mitch Richmond. You couldn't talk about launch without stressing these two. These were the cards to have. You were at a serious disadvantage if you didn't have these two on your team. People were running Mitch as a shooting guard and Allen at small forward just because they were the only cards you could shoot with. Once people figured out that you could hit leaning threes like nothing, man, it was a wrap. Both with the athletic 2 leaner animation would green every single time. You had to get these boys or you'd die by the 3. Now, this is only like after the patch would make shooting stupid easy. But other than that, like, yeah, like, honestly, day one, they're really good because they could actually shoot, unlike everyone else, but they just turned even more godly. Amy Richard Jefferson. At a time when nobody could really dunk like crazy except for one other card, which, trust me, we will get to, Richard Jefferson caught bodies. A 95 driving dunk on a card at launch was just unheard of, and he certainly put it to work. A perfect corner spot up guy and would just destroy anyone to the rim. And Amy Derrick Rose. This card, man, there was no stopping him. They gave him half quick first step on a card at launch with just ridiculous dunking animations. This is a guy that you'd have on your team, turbo to the rim and dunk every time without fail. The headache of opponents everywhere. You couldn't even send help defense because he'd just dunk over them too. Now for launch, those are all the guys I like to mention in detail. There are many other cards, so like Ruby Dan Marley, Ruby Bill Lambier, Shot Sick God, Kerry Kittles, Kyle Lowry. Wasn't immediately obtainable, but was nice. He really was nice. Ruby Gus Williams, Rick Smits, not only one of the few centers with the mid-range, he was 7'4". Sapphire Mo Cheeks, Ben Simmons, was basically equivalent of the pink diamond at launch. And Sapphire Byron Russell, Emerald Myers Leonard, we don't talk about him, Emerald Klay Thompson, the perfect 3-and-D guy, Emerald Bobby Jackson, and starter Shaquille O'Neal, and Evo Cabangele. I'm gonna call him Cabangele, one of the few stretch bigs. Now, we'll start with the packs. When will rise playoff stoppers? Remember Tuesday sets with a lock-in reward at the end of the season? They only did it for a little bit, but yeah. Cards. Diamond Gary Payton. He was the first lock-in card of the year and would eventually lock in for the pink diamond Julius Erving at the end of the season. He was the best point guard on defense for a bit, but wasn't too noticeable outside of that. Diamond Ben Walls. This card is notable for one reason, and that was because he was a gatekeeper for the pink diamond Julius Erving set. This card and Diamond Weber, we'll talk about later, were rare. You'd see maybe 1 or 2 on the auction house at a single time, and you were paying a hefty price to pick them up. Amy Doug Christie. He'd become the starting shooting guard on many lineups, as he was the best 3-and-D shooting guard in the game at the time of release. Gold clamps and an 83-point shot. Now, the clutch promo. The first Friday promo of the year outside of the season kickoff, and it did not disappoint, with headliners of Kobe, MJ, and Kareem. Cards. Diamond Jerry West. The lock-in reward for this set. He had a good 3-point rating and could shoot, good defense and playmaking. Just added another solid point guard into the mix with the best in the game. Amy Kobe Bryant. This card was a huge disappointment. He first loaded into 2KDB with gold range, meaning he'd be one of the first shooting guards in the game with range and clamps. Plus he has the athletic 2 leaner, meaning he'd be like Allen Houston and Mitch Richmond, but with defense. Once the packs went live, all of that disappeared on Kobe. He couldn't even hold range at that point. He went on from one of the most busted cards in the game to just average with that change. Ruby Rip Hamilton and Ruby Ray Allen. At a time when people were struggling to shoot, these guys came in and saved the day, especially Allen, who had a 93 3-point and gold range, making him one of the best shooters in the game with his base. Honestly, Ray Allen was so much better than Amy Kobe. No debate, in my opinion. Sapphire Kawhi Leonard. He was a budget beast first time. A 73 point seems low, but with the stock shot stick, how it was at this time, you could shoot He was so nice. A guy who could basically do anything at a competent level. Then he was also a T-Mac clone on top of that. If you didn't know about him when the Dark Matter came out, this is why the card was so exciting when it was announced. Was also a great option in TTL as your small ball big. It would rebound well and space the floor to punish paint sitters. Now you got Idols 1, Manu Ginobili. The first Idol set of the year and had some heat in it, though to me it was kind of disappointing. Cards, Pink Diamond Manu. I don't know if it's revisionist history or something, but from when this card came out, he was one of the better shooting guards in the game. He's definitely revisionist history. He was okay at the time, okay? Remember, we were using chopstick at the time. The ugly release didn't matter. He could dribble, he could finish surprisingly well, and he could shoot. Was one of the more complete shooting guards in the game. Honestly, I did go against him in limited once. He was great, but he was like above average, you know? And you could tell by some of the other cards that'll come out later. And even Ruby Ray Allen, they're like on par, or maybe just a bit worse. But now in Diamond Paul George, this man started my love of PG-13 cards in the game. He was probably the best defender in the game when released. He was one of the few small forwards who could handle the ball, one of the best dunkers in the game, and had a 3-point shot. He changed the game for sure and was a nightmare to see on your opponent's lineup. Amy Kristaps Porzingis. I could never hit a shot, but he was one of the first stretch bigs that we got that was actually fairly good. I have to stress that being a big, you could space the court was super important to a team at this point. Because if you didn't have that, you just get paint sit, bro. And that's true, man. Him and Bill Laimbeer, two best cards you could have. And Ruby Patty Mills. Someone considered this man the best point guard in the game up to this point. Jump shot 98 on quick. He would light up any team, and in the right hands, you cannot lose with this card. You shoot people up. But yeah, this card was insane. This card was insane. I'll say that, man. You could use him for like a whole 2 seasons without any replacing. Now let's get on. One will rise, Dimers. Cards, Diamond, Draymond Green. Oh man, this card was the best card for a while. The first big who could hold range, a consistent 3-pointer, could even handle the ball, guard the perimeter. He did it all. Draymond being that good was a reason why Pink Diamond Irving would be so expensive to lock in, along with Ben Wallace and Diamond Chris Webber. On his own, Webber was good. Could hit the corner 3, great finish at the rim, and most of all, super fast. He was Pink Diamond Bob Lanier with the 3-point option. Him in combination with Draymond was such a formidable backcourt at the time. It's true, man. Amy Sleepy Floyd. The reason why Sleepy was good was because he could hold badges most cards lacked. Range, go ahead. Clamps, upgradable from bronze. On top of that, he had a nice release and was nearly unblockable to the rim because of the rim grazer packages he had on the card. Showtime wasn't really a thing yet. And Ruby Doc Rivers, not many people talked about him, but he was a budget point guard people liked because he could shoot and was fairly fast. Now Flash 1, first Flash, it was pretty interesting to say the least. Now you got Pink Diamond Brandon Roy. The card wasn't too great, but he was a dunking machine. Lacked the ability to hold clamps or range, so he was limited quite a bit, but this man was a rim runner. For a rim runner, he was fun. Now we get to the big one right here, Diamond John Stockton. This is the first card to really break the game. John Stockton, but glitch for athleticism, this man dunked anything. He was so good to the rim. Then you could also upgrade his range to gold and 3-point hunt like crazy with him. And to top it off, he was one of the best defenders at the point guard. The first true dynamic scorer in this game. This card would be usable for a long time and a staple of early game 2K21 MyTeam. Honestly, you could use him to the end of season 3. Like, he was just that good. He was that good. Now we got Diamond KD. PG-13 soon found competition at the small forward when KD was introduced. I personally like PG-13 more, but for KD to have that bronze range and good shooting ability, he just offered a different thing to PG-13. This card will also start the trend of KD cards being absolute bricklayers if you didn't green, something that would plague the rest of his cards. And Amy Boris Diaw. Oh man, Diaw was a savior to many budget players. You need a cheap big who could do basically everything? Diaw. Shoot, dunk, handle the ball, good defense. He was one of the best bigs in TTO and would solve your spacing issues just by being on the court. And Ruby Brian Scalabrine, a nice 3&D option at the power forward, a good pickup. Now let's get on back to the Tuesday packs. One will rise Underdogs. This is kind of a weird set, as good and bad. Now you got Diamond Latrell Sprewell. He was one of the most complete shooting guards to come out at the time. Had showtime dunks, great all-around scoring ability, could handle the ball and play defense. In an era where cards were good at maybe 1 or 2 things at the most, it was a great guy to get who could do it all. Diamond Kyrie Irving. People would cook with this card and become pretty competent number 2 point guard on the market next to Stockton, a 3-point hunting point guard and the ability to hold clamps. Ruby Stephen Jackson, whatever you want to say. I think this card was the first card people kind of realized Curry slide was a thing. You bashed out a Stephen Jackson who was comparable to PG-13 and KD. Had Showtime dunks, could shoot the ball, good size at the small forward. He was an investment, but he was certainly worth it. Yeah, definitely. You could use him for limited till season 3. Ruby Tyson Chandler, a big bruising center under the rim with decent speed. He was a budget god for a while at the center position. He would just body anyone, was a decent answer to small ball lineups, running Dre at the 5. Now the second idols we got, Dominique Wilkins. Cards, Pink Diamond Dominique. Some people still swear this Dominique is the best dunker in the game. He was that good. Half Showtime with Showtime dunks, a 3-point shot, good defense, nice as at the shooting guard at the time. He'd be outclassed in just another idol set after this, but for his time, Dominique was the man. Diamond Darren Williams, this card was hype, man. If you didn't know about the Curry slide before this point, you sure did after. He was a 3-point hunting machine with competent defense and good finishing. He'd soon take over that number 2 spot from Kyrie behind Stockton, but there was soon to be another point guard to top them all. I think y'all know who that point guard is. Diamond Giannis Antetokounmpo, the first Giannis card in the game that was actually good, and he was good because of his speed and size to the rim. He also lacked any real outside shot, but that didn't matter. He was going to beat you to the rim. And he was also probably the best defender in the game, able to switch onto anybody and succeed. Amy Michael Cooper. I love this card. The ultimate 3-and-D guy, one of the few cards to come with half glance and just an absolute fantastic perimeter defender. He could also dunk pretty nice too, and was truly the best one at shooting guard. This man was a clamp god. And Ruby Eric Gordon. Remember Patty Mills? Eric Gordon did the exact same thing to people. Just absolutely cook. One of the few guys with the release on quick at this point, and it was Oscar Robertson, no less. Yeah, those 2 cards I used for limited and on my squad for a long time. I even invested in a couple of those. Well, now, One Will Rise playoff records. The last of the One Will Rise Tuesday sets, allowing the lock-in of Pink Diamond Julius Erving. I'm going to summarize this by just reading the second paragraph, basically. I think it's time we mention a man that was mostly obtainable by this time. He is quite possibly the most broken card at a single point in the history of MyTeam. On paper, there's hundreds of better cards than this man, but for the point he was released, there was no answer for him. There would be no answer for him for another 2 months at least. This man went by the name of Pink Diamond Steph Curry. We should probably have known this card was gonna be good. I didn't even bother grinding this XP in season 1, and there were many like me. It seemed to take just too long to be worth it. And you could spend your time grinding TTO to build your stockpile, grinding unlimited for Paul Pierce. We'll talk about him after Curry, etc. But man, if you didn't have this card, you were screwed. Curry could not miss with completely bashed out shooting plus half range, a bash that cards wouldn't come with for quite a while. He also oddly dunked pretty well, like not on anybody, but if you gave him a lane, he was gonna dunk it. If you had Curry, you won. This is really when the Curry sliding abusing took effect, because even if you gave him an inch of space, he'd splash it. He'd even splash it on your face. This card was ridiculous. Pink Diamond Paul Pierce. When you usually think about Paul Pierce cards, you think yuck. But if you got him very early into season 1, you just automatically won games because of his shooting ability. That's true, man. Gold range was hard to find on a guy at this point, but Pierce could really shoot the ball when most cards couldn't. That consistency was a big difference maker online. He was also a pretty adequate defender at this time, when you couldn't even find clamps on cards either. He's probably the best unlimited reward for their time we had all season, with Kevin McHale giving him a run for his money. Now we're getting to one of the last parts of the post finals. Yeah, this is a great set, man. Diamond LeBron James. This LeBron was pretty handicapped with badge upgrades, but even with silver badges in most areas, this card is dominated. Don't give him a lane, he's dunking on anybody. Give him a 3-point shot and he can hit the 3. He was also a good defender in his time too. KD, PG-13, and LeBron were the guys to have at the small forward at the time. Amy Klay Thompson. Klay was one of the best 3-and-D. Klay was the 3-and-D to beat all 3-and-D cards out at the time. He He was stupid expensive. He was like 60k, but worth every penny. One of the best shooters in the game, and ridiculous defensive ability at the shooting guard to shut down the opposing matchup. Honestly, the only problem with him was that he would always guard the center, which is why I never picked him up, and I just ran with Miami Michael Cooper and Ruby Eric Gordon. Those two, honestly, they were a bit better than Klay Thompson in my opinion. Ruby Byron Scott. Scott was interesting because he was 6'3" at the point guard position, which at the time was the tallest you'd get at point guard. He could dribble his butt off with the Curry slide and pro weight crossover, and you'd have to badge him out though, needing quick for step range and clamps to really complete him. You got one badge out, you had a great point guard. And Ruby Bruce Bowen, honestly, he was just better than Klay Thompson because of that center glitch. Yeah. Ruby Bruce Bowen, one of the best 3&D budget options in the game, and on the perimeter he was one of the best cards you could get at the time. And Sapphire Chris Bosh, one of the first cheap stretch bigs we got in the game. He would be a key limited card to defy for a while after this point. And that's it. 21 minutes of talking later, that was a lot. But yeah, so I hope you guys liked it. I did read all of this for you guys. Yeah, so I would appreciate it if you just gave a like on the video, you know. But either way, thank you guys for watching, and bye.